But if they don't go to school in Canada for 90 days at a stretch, they are considered inadmissible to Canada.
Wow.
Their study permits may be denied extension.
Hey everyone, welcome to DARPAN Dialogue. There has been an influx of students from India wanting to pursue opportunities within Canada, and a lot of them do apply for student visas and work permits. To kind of break it down as to what they need to keep in mind and to be well prepared once they're here, we've got with us Rakesh Sharma. He is an immigration consultant and he's with Alliance Immigration based in Surrey. So let's welcome him into the program. Rakesh, good morning. How are you? Most welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
So let's first start by asking you, a lot of kids, like I said, students I should say, do apply for a student visa. They do apply for work permits. What are some things that they need to keep in mind before coming here?
That's a great question. And to sum it up, based on my almost 12 years of experience in this industry, I think the recent changes in the immigration laws and the way student visas are being processed, focus is more on the language ability of the student rather than on academics.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So that's a quite cleft stick situation, because six bands each in each of the modules like listening, reading, writing and speaking. This is a requirement.
Right.
So under the Student Direct Stream, which is called SDS, launched in India, it is a primary requirement for students to have that kind of minimum bands on their IELTS academic. But what is being ignored in the process is those students who are maybe scoring 80%, they are sometimes denied visa if they fall short of even 0.5 in one of the 4 modules, although even if their overall bands are 7.5 or 8. So what happens eventually, that students who are academically weak, they end up being in Canada, while those who are academically strong and for one reason, maybe they had a bad day that day when the IELTS test was being taken by them, just because they had a drop of 0.5 in one of the modules, 4 modules, they are languishing in India because the visa officer thinks they are not meeting the criteria for student direct stream. So the focus should be equally on the academics as well as on the English proficiency. Also, they should choose the program which is in line with the previous education that they have had in India. Most of the rejections occur because of the bad advice in India. And one of the most important features that I would like the students, aspiring students to come to, who are coming to Canada, to look at their schools on Canadian Immigration's website and see if the school that they are choosing to pursue their further studies in Canada is eligible for the grant of open postgraduate work permit or not. If they end up in a school which is not even eligible for the award of a postgraduate work permit post completion of the studies in Canada, they would not like it, because most of them want to work and gain the Canadian experience, which eventually leads to permanent residency in Canada. All they have to do is go on to CIC website, type DLI, and look at their DLI's eligibility in terms of the postgraduate work permit. So they shouldn't be taken by surprise once they complete their studies, because many false claims are being made by some agents in India about the eligibility of a particular school. That these schools are eligible, but
go to the website.
The reality is different. They should educate themselves. They should do their homework, and they should not waste their parents' hard-earned money. Also, I would also like to take this opportunity to advise the students who successfully make it to Canada in the eligible schools, post-grad work permit eligible schools, to make sure that they are full-time students. They remain full-time students throughout. What I'm looking at a lot of students who come to the office, and for one reason or the other, they had to withdraw a course which makes them go below the full-time, which makes them go part-time, and immigration doesn't give them open postgrad work permit. They cannot take any other break which is not a scheduled break. The scheduled break is the one on college calendar, as per the calendar of the college.
Right.
If they take a break from a college, they have to make sure that the semester just preceding that break and after that break, they are full-time students.
I see.
The requirement for them is to be continuous full-time students. If they are not continuous full-time students, they will be denied the award of a postgraduate work permit by Immigration Canada.
Wow.
And then they don't have any option but either to go back to India or their source country or their home country, or go for another program of study. So it is very important. We see a lot of students come to Canada, come to our office, and they say, we have been denied this open postgrad work permit because of this gap or this, we took a semester off which was not a scheduled semester. We had taken 2 courses, we've withdrawn 2 courses or 1 course which makes us go part-time. And part-time studies are not acceptable for the award of the postgraduate work permit. This is the most important thing. Even we posted on our Google page this important piece of information last month, advising students to be very careful when applying for their open postgrad work permit. And throughout the study in Canada, they have to make sure that they are full-time students, continuous full-time students. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for that. I think it's going to help a lot of students out and to be aware of that.
You're welcome.
What do you find are some of the challenges and problems once they're here, once they've gotten their student visa, once they've landed in Canada and they're studying at the school of their choice? What do you find are some of the problems and challenges they do end up facing?
Like I previously said, students who are maybe academically weak and they make it to Canada just because they have they are meeting the criteria of language requirement, 6 bands each. Sometimes they find it very difficult to cope up with the studies in Canada, and they're looking to change schools. But students must keep in mind that changing the schools, maybe it's easy for some students to change the schools, but if they don't go to school in Canada for 90 days at a stretch, they are considered inadmissible to Canada.
Wow.
Their study permits may be denied extension.
Interesting.
So I think the amount of funds that the students have to show, not just for 1 year, which is requirement, they should also they should make sure that they have adequate funds throughout the course of study.
And what sort of financial funds are we looking at?
Immigration would insist on $10,000 for the GIC, which is the first year's living expenses. But I think the parents should make sure that the students are adequately funded throughout the course of their study, because then the dependence on the part-time work would be less and they would be able to focus more on their studies, which is the primary objective of their coming to Canada.
So you mentioned they need to be full-time students, which means that they can't take up part-time work. So
they can
take up part-time work.
Full-time student is only authorized to take part-time work. If they're not full-time, they will not be able to work even part-time.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Because to me, I would say, okay, well, if you're a full-time student, that is your job, to go to school full-time, not be working part-time. But interestingly enough, you're saying that even with a full course load, that you can still do the part-time work.
Exactly. The full-time definition is they must have 9 credits per semester. And if they are having enrolled in 9 credits per semester, they are eligible to work maximum 20 hours a week. Off campus they can work. And when they are issued a study permit upon arrival in Canada, this condition is stipulated on their study permits, that they can work provided they are enrolled as a full-time student at their academic institution.
Great, because I have heard that the fees while they're in Canada, it's 3 times what the regular students pay for international students.
It is.
So that's why I was wondering, so if they're full-time and they can't work, it's going to be hard to finance, so they can draw out loans and stuff as well?
I'm glad that you brought out this topic, because if they are not full-time students, the financial impact would be even harder on the students. They won't be able to even earn the money that they could earn by remaining full-time students. So it is in their best interest that they remain full-time continuous students throughout the course of their study, so that they're able to work part-time as well. They can work full-time during the scheduled break. For sure. Great.
And can they also draw out student loans?
Student loans are not, they're not eligible for student loans, just like PRs and citizens are. That is why they have to show funds to the Canadian government before they're issued a visa.
great.
Yeah.
Like, really good to know. I would have never thought that, all these requirements are at play. So any final word of advice for prospective students and the students that are here?
I would want to advise the prospective students headed to Canada. First of all, start early. Start preparing for Canada early. Do very well academically. Improve your English. And choose a school that grants them not only a good education, but also gives them open postgraduate work permit. Okay. And they should also be keeping themselves abreast of the latest developments in the immigration laws,
right,
so that they're not caught unawares.
Right.
So sometimes you are in dark, you're just studying and you're not even looking at sideways, you're not consulting a professional, and you might be at a loss when you finish your school later on after 2 years.
Sure. So apart from consulting an expert like yourself, are there websites that they can also go to and get additional information?
Website is a great resource for international students, but they should also try to take some clarification from the experts.
Of course.
There are so many experts in the market, because websites don't tell you everything.
Right.
You have to take a consultation from some experts.
Right.
Because if you are not clear about the information they have posted online, I think it is in the best interest of the students to go for consultation. And most of the immigration consultants and lawyers, I'm not sure about lawyers, but consultants would offer free advice.
Oh, great. That's fantastic.
First 20, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, they don't charge anything. We don't charge anything to the students.
That's great.
For the first consultation.
That's great. And then just one quick thing, when it comes to students coming here, the prospective students, any particular, like you said, yes, they need to be doing academically well, and you broke down in terms of, if they are lacking a certain percentage, they're rejected, their application's rejected. What do they need to do in that case?
They can go back in time and
Right.
make amends,
Right.
because it's very hard for them to, once you are studying at a college and you have withdrawn some courses, you are rendered part-time student.
Okay.
They should, like I said, they should gear up right in this first semester and make sure that they don't face such a situation where they are declared as a part-time student.
Okay, great.
Summers, yes,
Right.
but in the regular semesters, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So that is my advice to students, and they should consult, they should do the research, they should consult the resources, they should go on website, immigration website, that's a great resource, but they should also consult some experts in the industry.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. So definitely take a look at the websites, but the most important thing, you want to consult an expert, you want to make the most of your time in Canada, and of course have your research done before coming to Canada. Rakesh, Sharma, thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
For taking the opportunity to speak with us.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you very much.
To watch DARPAN stories as to what's happening, what's new, what's trending, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe.